What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I've been gone the last few shows, so I'll dip into some of the stuff about the first preseason game. We have a fantastic returning guest. A lot to get into this week. Can't wait to do it. Shane, why don't you start me up?
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Ladies and gentlemen, 94 yards. Touchdown, Titans. He is the baddest man in the NFL, and he just took her to the house.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast.
Sick!
It's gonna be sick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Sick Podcast, Talking Titans. I'm joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Jarett and Vin. Fellas, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. It's good to have you back, Salvatore. I never thought I'd say those words, but it is good to have you back.
Yeah,
it's good to have both of you back since I held it down on Saturday with Adam Rank after the game.
Yeah.
So
you did.
It's good to be back. It's good to elevate the good looks on the show to the next tier because they were a little bit low the last few weeks. So glad to get those numbers back up. Got an excellent guest. I don't want to waste any time bringing him on. We've had him on before. All you guys know him. He's the ESPN reporter for the Tennessee Titans. He's also on ESPN Radio, Mr. Teron Davenport. TD, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing really well, man. Out here in Minnesota, we got joint practices starting tomorrow. So I said, you know what, I'll come out here and enjoy the plans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure baseball is a lot more fun out there than it is in our area over in New Jersey with the Yankees and Mets, an absolute disaster. So,
speak for yourself. The Phillies are 11 games over 500.
Yeah, well, nobody gives a damn about them. But nevertheless, Teron, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just jump right into it. I think it's easy to say that one of the best storylines so far of this offseason for the Titans, at least as it pertains to training camp and our first preseason game, is the improvement of Malik Willis from where he ended his season last year and what he's been able to do in training camp and the way he's been going through his progressions in the preseason game we just witnessed. Obviously you're really close to this situation. What can you attest, at least from your visual, this big leap forward that he's taken from the end of last year till now? Yeah, the connection's super choppy, TD. We might have to reschedule you for a day that we can get you on and get a little better Wi-Fi. We'll work on trying to get him back in here. Obviously, if we cannot, we'll do our best to get Teron back on for another show, if not later on tonight. So we're going to keep trucking along regardless. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I haven't been on since our first preseason game. The two of you have been on, and of course, well, actually, no, Vin hasn't been on since the game, but Jarett did a little post game with Adam Rank, which is awesome. So we can certainly indulge everyone on our thoughts on that game a little bit more. Vin, why don't you start us off? I mean, obviously, like myself, I think you were kind of busy. We're doing your best to watch a game throughout the day, right? But from what you saw and then afterwards on highlights, what were your first impressions of the performances?
We'll see when the short comes out. I talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think your boy Malik Willis looked a lot better than any Titans fan had anticipated. He looked way more comfortable than he did last year. I think they might keep him now. I was talking about maybe them trading him, showcasing him in the preseason to see if they can fetch a late-round pick. But I think as time goes on, they might try and develop him. And if Tannehill isn't here next year, it could be a best man win situation between him and Will Levis. Levis looked decent as well. He had that one really bad interception at the end. But my bright spot of the game, two players I want to shout out. Tajay Spears, who I've been a fan of since the night we drafted him, looks like we finally found the perfect, 1-2 punch with him and Henry. We tried to do it for a few years, Willis, other players, but it didn't really work out. And I think we got our guy. He looked really great in space. He had that nice stiff arm on, I believe, Eddie Jackson, it was, Pro Bowler cornerback. So he looked great. Jarett and I's boy, Caleb Murphy, showed up and showed out, and I think he's on his way to making the 53. So there were some good things, some bad things. The line definitely struggled. We were under duress all day, it seemed, no matter who the quarterback was. And the kicking game, we'll touch on it later. I'm kind of fed up with us trying to throw these young guys in there to find, which one could be our kicker of the future. I want a kicker right now. I want Robbie Gould right now. I want a veteran right now. I don't want Caleb Shudock or Trey Wolf, who missed a 40-something yard field goal. So there's some things to get excited about, some things to be worried about. But overall, was, some inspiring things from that game. So that's kind of my synopsis of the game. So,
yeah, I mean, listen.
Not to my bad, Sal. Let me just get involved in this a little bit, because I was on with Adam Rank on Saturday after the game a little bit, and I didn't get to talk about the offensive line because I taped the game, I rewatched the game, and I watched the first series with our first offensive line, and they pushed the pile. So I was very impressed with that as the first preseason game. See what they do against Minnesota, especially with a joint practice. But it was very encouraging for the first team offensive line on Saturday day. But another one to stand out with the offensive line was Jalen Duncan. He got exposed a little bit with Tajay Gibson, but he anchored pretty well as a backup. So he could be definitely a swing tackle, whether it be left tackle or right tackle, because I know that's what he was predominantly at Maryland. So he really stood out to me, and also obviously on the back end with Caleb Murphy, man, the guy he's going to be something special with that rotation on the edge, and I can't wait to see him play on Sundays for us.
Yeah, so unfortunately, because I was playing golf, and I was surprised by a friend of mine, so I couldn't really turn him down. I wasn't able to watch the game live from start to finish. It was very tough, as I'm sure everyone can imagine. I was very excited to see these two guys play quarterback, but I did my best to try to watch the game from the cart, and then obviously I tried to watch as many different kind of highlight clips as I could. So I didn't really get an in-depth view realistically on a lot of the defensive players that we saw in this game that we just saw, but I was able to get a good glimpse at the offensive line, and they were obviously a disaster. Now, there were a lot of players that aren't going to be playing regularly come week one. I get all of that. But, we were supposed to harp on all offseason depth at offensive line. And as of right now, it doesn't appear that we have even the smallest bit of depth still. And we're going against Chicago's second defense, I'm pretty sure, even though their first offense played. I don't know if their first defense played too. I'd have to check that, so don't quote me on that. But regardless, it just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough at all. I don't want to go on a tangent on that. Let's get that better. Real briefly on the quarterback. The Malik Willis interception at first, I was like, Wiley, come on, bro. Like, really, dude? You're 6'7". You got to make that catch. I watched a lot of tape on that play. It was a really high ball, and it was really fast, too. So a little bit more blame needs to be put on Malik on that throw.
And he had a very clean pocket, not to cut you off, with no one in front of him. Could have time to set his feet and, laser it in there to his numbers, not, rush it and throw it off his back foot over his head.
Yeah, he had all the time in the world, and with that kind of protection, with any receiver that wide open, you cannot turn the ball over on that side of the field. So that's something that absolutely needs to get corrected immediately, because we can't have those things happening on Sundays if he is going to be the starting quarterback moving forward. With the Levis thing, yeah. It was a horrible pick, absolutely horrible pick. I think sometimes he focused a little bit on being flashy with his mechanics rather than just getting the ball in there, which I'm sure long-term might be good once it gets everything together. And I still think there's a chance that maybe there was some kind of miscommunication with the receiver. I mean, no one was in the fucking area of that throw.
No, except for Bears. That's it.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I'm not going to crucify the kid right away. The main focus right now is Malik Willis because it looks evident at this point that he is going to be the backup, and it is no longer a bona fide conclusion that Will Levis is on deck to be the quarterback.
Well, I mean, let's see. There's 2 more preseason games, so I mean, we'll see. They're going to battle it out. Who knows? Malik Willis can have a shit game against the Vikings this week, and Will Levis can, climb the depth chart. It is what it is. It's a battle. It's like Vince said. It's a battle that they have to prove themselves. So it's good for us.
And it's a great problem
forward.
Yeah, and take everything you see in these preseason games with a grain of salt. I mean, you look at all the rookie quarterbacks across the NFL. I believe Will Levis actually might have statistically had the best game. I know C.J. Stroud was awful. Anthony Richardson threw an interception, I believe, on his first pass. So, these kids are fresh out of college. It was their first, time in game action in the NFL. You had to think there was a little bit of nerves. Family were probably there for them as well. So I'm sure they had a lot on their mind. I'm not taking it to heart, but right now it seems like Willis would give us the better chance to win should we need to have a backup play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
go
ahead, Jarett. Go ahead.
No, they like Mike Verbal said on Monday, what he did was they alternated the quarterback just to get them fresh. God forbid they have to go into a game, so they wanted to come off the bench constantly. So this week it could be Malik going from first quarter to second quarter to halftime, and then Will Levis from the third to the fourth. So you'll actually see them consistently on 4 straight drives, 5 straight drives, whatever it is. So maybe we'll get a little better look, game wise, what they'll have moving forward. So
no, I was thinking the same thing too. It's hard for a quarterback to stay consistent when they're taking every other series off. You almost feel like you should give one the first half and one the second half and see how they do, because for a quarterback to be coming off and on the field, you really don't allow them to get in a rhythm per se, which not making excuses, but could have had something to do with both Will Levis's and Malik Willis's interceptions as well. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, the bottom line is, though, we can't leave out the fact that we need to see some starting time the next game. I mean, we only have 3 preseason games. As incredibly nervous as I am, as every Titans fan is every year about the injury bug, we need to see Ryan Tannehill get some snaps in this next game. We need to see DeAndre Hopkins with pads on, running a route here and there. I personally think that it needs to happen just a little bit because I'm really against just throwing the guys out there week one absolutely ice cold without any live reps. I don't think that's a good idea, and the majority of the NFL doesn't think that's a great idea. If you've seen, the Bears, Justin Fields, DJ Moore running down the sideline. I mean, that is their whole team, those 2 guys. So I'd like to see them get some reps. There's a chance they won't, but we'll see.
I think Vrabel's going to save it against the Patriots at home too, so that they can play on the field for the first time since we got new turf or whatever that grass is at Nissan Stadium. So just to get their feet wet before we actually play there in 2 weeks after we play the Patriots.
Yeah. So, we'll see. But you're right. There was really nobody that stood out as far as rookie quarterbacks concerned. You can make an argument that Dorian Thompson-Robinson was the best rookie QB that's played in the first week of the NFL in the preseason with the Browns. I mean, he had a really good performance. I think they have 2 games under their belt already because they were in the opener. But it's so early. It's way too early to tell anything about Will Levis. It's not too early to say anything about Malik Willis, and it's nothing but positive right now. So outside of that throw, that could have been a little bit lower. But moving forward briefly, as far as the running back is concerned, I feel like the Titans always have great rushing performances in the preseason. Like every single year, whether it be Chestnut or the guy last year whose name I'm going to forget, who played here and there. What the hell was the guy's name? He broke his leg. No. The other guy, really short, big dude. I'll have to look it up while one of you guys is going on. But regardless, Tajay Spears looked excellent. The shiftiness is out of this world. The Chimera comps that I threw out there are looking more and more like it's going to be very good. He's a shifty dude with a knack of getting the football. So it's great to see. I'm so excited to see him on Sundays. And obviously the defense was nothing to write home about, but look at the list of guys that didn't play. So, if you're going to complain about what this team's going to be long-term when 80% of our defensive stars didn't even touch the turf. So that wouldn't be very intelligent. So,
although it does seem like we lack some depth at the cornerback position.
Yes.
I was going to bring it up earlier and, echo what you said a month or so ago, where you said this secondary could go one of two ways. We stay healthy, our second and third and fourth year guys take a huge step forward, and we're an elite secondary. Or we struggle here and there. God forbid we get an injury. And they took the first play of the game, DJ Moore took it to the house. I think there was a block in the back on that play, but, regardless, that's something that, shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
so.
Especially I touched on that with Adam Rank. 2 screens, Vrabel probably ripped into them on Monday because that's unacceptable. Two straight offensive series, and you get 2 screens. I know Justin Fields was rolling to his left, and he found Herbert for a touchdown, and he made his way, but still, it's unacceptable. But the Titans did bring in Ronald Darby. I seen that. I don't know if you guys saw that as well for a workout. So obviously, the cornerback position and the outside cornerback specifically is a need and a want, obviously. So we'll see what happens with that. But Darby, he's a flashy little pickup. It would be nothing spectacular.
Yeah,
but it's better than what we have with Trey Avery and everybody else.
Hey! Trey Avery, Rutgers' finest, had an interception.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I think what's his name? The guy in the wheelchair, the genius guy. What's his name? Who talks with the
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking's going to make that interception. I mean, it was literally right in his freaking face. But
no,
still, he caught it. He caught it. That's the bottom line. And he took it. He took it about 40 yards afterwards too. Yeah. But I'm surprised we let Chris Jackson go. Obviously he wasn't anything to write home about, but I thought it was a guy that kind of at least progressed enough over his time here that could have at least trended in the direction of getting a 5th spot or like a rotational player, but he didn't have a great game at all, and that was the end of that. And you're right, depth at corner is not good. I think we might be okay because some of the depth, not even starters, some of the depth also didn't play. Like, I mean, you could technically say right now, like McCreary, Molden, McCreary, right, like they're going to be switching in and out a lot. Fulton and Murphy Bunting, I think, are the only 2 guys that are going to get like 95% of the snaps on defense. So, I think we'll be okay. We have a solid 4 rotational guys, bearing none of them get hurt. God, hopefully they don't. But still, nothing to write home about. The effort was terrible defensively by everyone who played. And it wasn't a Mike Vrabel type defense. He wasn't the coach. Doesn't matter. Still his team. And in that regard, as far as depth at defense, that would be the only thing that I think we could be complaining about and have a right to do so.
The middle linebackers as well. Gibbons looked like he was just chasing a dog all day.
Chase Campbell was all over the field, though.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that. Because then I think we got real problems.
Well, Jarett said he was going to make the team, so he's got to be rooting for him to do well.
Chance Campbell was all over the field, so
that was
the only DB that I'm looking at right now for the stats for the defense. I mean, there is nobody that even sniffed the starters besides Molden that played. Other than that, you're looking at 3 third string guys or even guys from the practice squad. So I think this Vikings game, you're going to see a lot more guys, switching in and out like your Roger McCreary's. Bunting may get a 1 series to get their feet wet, but we'll see.
Yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong. Unless I didn't see much of McDowell. Did you guys see him at all?
I think he got banged up a little bit, actually, late in the game.
No. Okay, again, because I didn't watch the game live, so I saw everything in bits and pieces, but I didn't see him getting many reps. Chris Moore, obviously, it actually might have been the first play, where Malik rolled out and just fucking put a ball on the nose. 3 guys in his grill, running to his right, across his body. I mean, like, I'm only saying this in the regards of people who've done things like this. It was a very Mahomes.
Don't even say Patrick Mahomes.
But you knew what I was going to say, so obviously it couldn't have been. I'm not saying he's him, obviously. Okay, I'm just saying, that's the kind of throw that he can make. what's his name isn't making that throw. The guy we just let go. That was our backup for 3 years. That's on Atlanta now. What the hell's his fucking name?
Logan Woodside.
Huh? Logan Woodside can never ever make that throw. Wow. Okay, Joshua Dobbs can never make that throw, and I thought he did really well for us in the last 2 games.
Never thought we'd be getting a Logan Woodside shout out. No free shout outs.
Let's talk about the offense now. For that first series, it was play action on first down. When the hell did we ever see that? So exactly. So
2018.
Things are actually starting to take place, and seeing it with Derrick Henry, there's gonna be less in the box, so it's gonna be good, man.
Yeah. And they treated Malik Willis like a fucking quarterback. Oh my God, we've been waiting for. We didn't see it at all last year.
16 to 25 for 190 yards.
I mean, that's how embarrassing our offense and quarterbacks have been when we're saying, "Whoa, we threw for 189." Holy shit!
Compared to the 70 yards that he threw last year,
dude. When Mariota threw 190, that was like he threw 470 for the 4 years he was a starter. So, it's just great to see. He's comfortable. He doesn't look terrified. He still has horrible blocking, and he's improving. And he had a great stat line with that one overthrown ball. So, like I said to TD before we got cut off, it's easily, I think, the biggest storyline in the offseason right now, is besides people coming here as the likes of DeAndre, obviously. But as far as surprises, he's even surprising Vrabel. I mean, Vrabel's openly giving the guy praise now when, 3 months ago, it looked like he was not even going to be on the team come OTAs. So it's great. And everyone's been saying good problem to have. And I couldn't agree more. I think you two would also agree.
I mean, sometimes I was just kind of thinking the opposite sometimes, because sometimes teams put themselves in a precarious situation where, you want to have your backup and your third stringer all be able to play. But sometimes if you have too many quarterbacks, you don't have one, and I'm worried that we traded up in the second round to get Will Levis this year. We took a quarterback in the third round next year. Hopefully one of them picks up and runs away with the job, because if it has to be a battle where both guys you could kind of make an argument for, well, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, in my opinion. I know that's something to think about down the line, and we're in win now mode, but they can kind of handcuff themselves going forward, in my opinion. Trying to figure out which of these 2 guys is their guy going forward after this year, because we moved up to draft Levis. So if he isn't the guy, well, then you just traded up and wasted a second round pick on a kid that isn't going to be your starter. And then if you move on from Malik Willis, it's a third round pick from last year, albeit I know it was a different front office, but I don't know. Sometimes it's not frustrating, but it's something to think about, in my opinion, going forward, because you don't want to have a quarterback carousel, in my opinion, life after Tannehill. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, I think here's the thing. I think the only problem that they could run into, I think both of these guys are going to be perennial NFL starters. I genuinely do. Will Levis and Malik Willis, I think, have the talent, if coached well with surrounding talent like every other player in the world needs. They are both starting caliber players. I think the only issue that Tennessee could run into and regret is not picking the better of the 2, meaning, Will Levis turns into, I'm just using this for example, like Will Levis turns into a Kirk Cousins and Malik Willis turns into, a Jalen Hurts. That would be the only problem that we run into. We decide to stick with Will Levis. We trade Malik for whatever assets we can obtain. And then Malik turns into Jalen Hurts for Seattle or wherever the hell he winds up. That would be the only thing that would be the issue. I still think Will Levis is going to be a guy we can depend on for an extended period of time. But again, if we're talking about maybe a Kirk Cousins to a Jalen Hurts. Obviously, you would rather have Jalen Hurts over Kirk Cousins. And if we choose the wrong guy, that's what can backfire on us. But, obviously time will tell. And it's very unlikely we're going to get those answers this season, knock on wood, because we do want Tannehill to be healthy for 17-plus games. But I think they're both going to be okay, I think. I genuinely do. I mean, even Will was doing – even though he was trying to emphasize his throwing motion sometimes, I mean, the guy is fluid as it gets. When you see him switching those hips, I mean, he looks like he was born to do it. So – he's just got to put it all together, and everything needs to click in here, which it doesn't always do in his career up to this point. So we'll see. But I think even Jarett said, Jarett, you were fairly impressed with Levis as well. I mean, you were campaigning him to be the guy to back him up 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, but like I said, moving forward, the biggest thing that would probably shock the hell out of both of you was Malik Willis on Saturday. Surprised the hell out of me, commanding the huddle on the first drive, and that's what you need for growth, and it was night and day. Like I told Adam Rank, it's night and day. He took a major step, in my opinion, this offseason, going to see a quarterback coach in Nashville, and just made major strides. And maybe it's Tim Kelly, maybe it's Charles London, who knows? That's helping him out, progress his career. But I just want to switch things up a little bit from the quarterback's position, because the thing that bothers me the most is the linebacker's position. Okay, we talked about it before. We talked about last week, that inside linebacker position with Monty Rice and Jack Gibbons. We asked Jim Wyatt last week, and he said, Jack Gibbons reminds Mike Vrabel of himself, a gritty kind of guy, undrafted kind of guy. To me, we have a championship defense. When you have that one spot that could be, the nail biter that's going to, not make the play, I think you need to sign a guy like Kyle Van Noy right now. Just like we have to talk about the kicking game with Robbie Gould. Kyle Van Noy is still sitting out there, and so is Jayon Brown, ex-Titan. He was with the Las Vegas Raiders. If you pair him up with Al-Shaair, yeah, he's a free agent right now. Unless he's hurt, which I don't think so. If you pair Jayon Brown with Al-Shaair, I think that is a perfect linebacker. They're both fast, they both can cover, and they both can play the run. So right now, that inside linebacker position, to me, and I know it's with you guys too, is a glaring need. And you can bring a guy in right now, training camp, who's played in the defense, who's familiar with the defense, and that's just where my head is right now going into this. Just trying to improve this team more and more. I don't see Monty Rice and Jack Gibbons and Chance Campbell starting for a Tennessee Titans defense with Al-Shaair, with Jeffrey Simmons and Autry and Harold Landry and Arden Key. I can't see it. They're just positional backups. They're young guys right now. You need proven guys for a championship defense if you want to take the reins and go to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I should. Listen, we've said it a million times. You can't have too much pass rush. It's impossible. No. But, another thing that I don't think should go unsaid is I still think we can make additions at wide receiver. I genuinely do. Like, I really – it's – people don't realize it. I'm knocking on wood as I'm saying it. I'm not even going to utter the words, but the two guys that we're going to depend on to be 1 and 2, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go any further. You can connect those dots. I still think there's room for maybe an addition. And listen, they're all old veterans that are left, right? I'm a lunatic, and please, Shane, don't clip this because I'll get crucified for it. But, for shits and giggles, if you could somehow bring back Julio Jones for $1 million this year, just to see what you can squeeze out of him.
Stop it.
Just for $1 million, 1.5, 1.5.
Absolutely not.
Just for the fucking red zone? Come on. Just for the red zone?
Nope. I'm looking at the stats, right? Not the stats, but the available free agent wide receivers.
AJ Green?
I would bring in Jarvis Landry. I would do Sammy Watkins over him. Just as a positional, as a rotational kind of guy. But you guys are going to be surprised with Chris Moore, man. Chris Moore, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, Chris Moore, Kyle Phillips. Who knows? Reggie Robinson is making moves in camp right now. Everyone's talking about him every single day. So if he can be the other guy, who's that sixth guy, that seventh guy that's going to make the team? Are they done with NWI? Because I am, in my opinion. Love the guy, but he is not a playmaker. And Chris Moore is the NWI that we always wanted. He blocks, he catches, and he's a better wide receiver.
Well, he needs to be a little bit more aware of his surroundings because he got his freaking bell rung on that one throw. Thank God. Time. Yeah, I know.
I don't think we're bringing in any receiver help unless we get an injury. If we do, his name will not be Julio Jones. Maybe a Jarvis Landry as a veteran presence, to work in the slot. But I think they're entirely – not to use the word contempt, but pretty happy going into the season with Hopkins and Burks and Chris Moore.
Yeah, we'll just bring every fucking player from the AFC South that's torched us. over the years.
Yeah, and then I don't see NWI getting cut. They seem like they have a certain affection for him in that locker room. I know Vrabel does at least. I know it's a different front office, but for whatever reason, they do like him. He's good for his 2 times a year. He'll score 2 touchdowns in a game for a grand total of 4 touchdowns in a season. But, I don't see them bringing in any other receiver help. I think if I was them, I would focus more on getting this offensive line figured out and where all 5 players are going to play and where your depth lies, because it can get ugly fast. And who are we to say it can't when the last 2 years, that's exactly is what happened. Is it got ugly?
Absolutely not. But if you rewatch the game, the first drive, the offensive line was not the problem. He had clean pockets. They pushed the pile. I literally replayed the drive for the offensive line twice just to see how they were, and they were moving 2 yards.
You know who's going to act?
Starting defensive line
is going to act as like a 6th offensive lineman for us. Is that tight end 87 Adudike? I think his name is. He is a mauler up front. He played next to Dillard, I think, and he made some really nice blocks. And Mike Vrabel loves nothing more than a player who can block. So I think he's going to be a player who's going to make the team as probably a 3rd tight end who's going to get a lot of action on game day next to either tackle blocking. So, yeah. But I don't think we're signing another receiver. I think we need to focus on the line. Like Jarett said, maybe finding a middle linebacker as well. To me, that's a glaring need. But can we finally, before we finish, talk about the fact that let's stop playing games with the fucking kicking position. We've made moves in this offseason that are win now moves. You go get DeAndre Hopkins. You draft a perennial Pro Bowler offensive guard. You went all offensive linemen in free agency. You got Arden Key, who finished last year strong as hell. Azeez Al-Shaair has looked great in camp. Came on great last year for San Fran. You've made a lot of win-now type moves. So why are we still playing games with the kicking position when someone named Robbie Gould, who has been a reliable leg in this league for a long time, sit on the free agent list? Because Trey Wolf ain't going to be the guy. He missed a 41-yard field goal. That's all I need to see. You can't kick a 40-yarder in preseason. Kick rocks, kid. It's going to be Caleb Shoedank or Shoedunk or whatever his name is. And I'm tired of finding the kicker of the future when you're in win-now mode. Go get a Greg Zerloin. I think he might be out there. Go get who's
the kickers that are out there, and sorry to apologize to Sal because he brought it up a couple weeks ago. Mason Crosby is still out there. Ryan Suckup, Robbie Gould. I'm not going to even say
Crosby's out there?
Yeah.
Not on the Packers no more? They cut him?
Maybe he's a free agent. But as per Sports Track, those are the impending free agents.
Well, I'll take Mason Crosby or Robbie Gould or anyone really over
free agent.
Crosby. Yeah.
And you know what? Crosby's 38 years old. Robbie Gould's 40. I didn't know that.
I don't give a shit. Oh, you don't have to play.
I know, but I'm just saying.
You don't got to play. You ever hear Bill Parcells screaming? He don't got to play. He's just got to kick. Okay? We need a reliable leg.
Very true.
And I'm tired of playing games with the kicking position. And I'm just over it. I'm over it. You know what we'll do though? We'll bring back Sam Sloman, some random name like that. God. We'll sign a kicker, but
we just fucking kept Cairo Santos.
Yeah,
that guy is so good now.
Yep.
And he was good for us. He was good for us. He missed one kick.
Suckup was a reliable kicker for a long time. Super Bowl champion with the Bucs.
I understood that release though, because at the end, after he got hurt and came back, he was all over the place.
Yeah, beyond.
What about the Vikings? What about the Vikings kicker? Who's the Vikings kicker? Greg Joseph. We had Greg Joseph too.
Yeah, Greg Joseph.
Yeah,
he was our kicker when Suckup got hurt and we made the run to the title game. He was our kicker the end of the year. And then
there's another guy I'm forgetting. I know who's been a starter for a team for like 3 years now that we had for fucking 2 minutes. I'm forgetting his name. But regardless, Mason Crosby.
We're all on the same page with it because I'm done playing games with this position.
It's crucial. We should have been in the playoffs last year.
Everybody laughs. You want to talk about kickers. They should be abolished from the NFL and fantasy sports. Well, guess what? They're not. And they're very important. And nobody wants to admit they need one until they need one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're driving, sorry, Sal, but when you're driving and you have to do a 50-yard field goal and settle for those 3 points, or you have to go for it on 4th and 8 and kind of no man's land, you're kind of screwed, because if you don't get that and you don't trust your kicker, you're leaving points off the board.
Not only that,
we clearly missed that.
You're messing with your kicker's psyche as well, because if they feel as though they're not good enough, or their coach doesn't have the confidence in them to put them on the field, it's a very mental game, kicking. It's just about anyone who's in the NFL as a kicker can kick. The difference between the top 10% and the bottom 10% is it's all up here. You know what I mean? So, like I said, not to be redundant, I'm tired of playing games from this position. Please give us one of these veterans. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm tired of, we've made moves now that are win now moves, except for the kicking position when it's been a glaring need for us the last few years. So I'm done talking about kickers. Go sign one. Rain Carthon, Robbie Gould, Mason Crosby. Please.
Yeah, Mason Crosby last year went 25 out of 29. Three of his 4 misses were 50 plus. So he went 1 for 4 over 50, but we don't typically even fucking go for it over 50 anyway.
Oh, he's playing in Green Bay. The weather there is always going to be sketchy, especially later in the season. Whereas in Nashville, you're going to get favorable weather most of the time.
Yeah.
Your 2 away games, 2 of your 3 of your away games are all 2 of them are in a dome. Houston in a division. I'm talking about Houston, Indianapolis playing a dome. Jacksonville's a warm weather city. So the kicking conditions for playing in Nashville and for our divisional opponents, those away games are much more favorable than having to play in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and here's where the difference lies. He went 6 for 7 from 40 to 49, which is our nightmare zone, right?
Yeah, right.
That's the zone where anytime there's an important kick that's made between 40 and 49, it's missed. He made 6 out of 7. That's when you
sit back on the couch, you turn your hat back around, and you just pray.
Yeah. 30 to 39, which is also a horrifying distance for our kickers. He went 8 for 8, and he went 10 for 10, 20 to 29, which obviously is considered a chip shot, but we've seen it happen on our end plenty of times. Kickers miss 28, 29-yard field goals. So he's automatic within 50 pretty much. And that's all we can ask for right now. So I'm not going to waste anyone's time looking up Gould's numbers. I'm sure they're better than anyone we're looking at the moment. Just do it. I mean, it's worked best for us over the last decade, getting guys that are already established rather than trying to establish guys. Every good kicker we've had.
I think they will, because if you look at Vrabel's track record, they brought in Gostkowski, they got Randy Bullock. They're not.
They're go down the line.
They're going to try to say, hey, did we find a Ryan Stonehouse for the kickers with these guys? If not, we're going to the streets.
Yeah,
I think it's going to take until week 3 of preseason, maybe. They're going to sign them all week 3 going into the Patriots week. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but it's something that needs to be addressed. Absolutely. I don't want to see a guy like that in an important week 1 kick like I had to witness live last year. So we'll see how it turns out. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap up for tonight. As always, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share the show. Like I said earlier, we were supposed to have Teron Davenport on tonight. Unfortunately, due to where he is and then the connection, we weren't able to get him on. But we got a great relationship with him. I'm sure we'll be able to touch base and reschedule so we can talk Titans with him. Obviously, we love having him on. So we'll get that all fixed away after the show. But so like I said, make sure you share the show, guys. Comment. We got more stuff coming on the horizon. The season's going to be here any minute now. Couple preseason games left that we're on in New Orleans. So as always, guys, I hope you have a great night, great day, great week. And as always, tighten up. Shane.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.